welcome to another show of an Inside Job, War on Addiction. This is show 31. I'm very happy about that. And we'll just cut to the chase. But again, I want to
Who's
thank...
going to chase? You going to chase me, or am I going to chase you?
Don't try to be funny, Danny, please.
I
Don't.
just need a few guidelines, that's all.
It's not going to work. So we did a show a half hour before this, so this will be Danny 2, Danny Show 2, and it's going to be on tonight, YouTube also.
Oh, cool.
Lemons, YouTube, Lemons to TV, click, search Lemons to TV, and then click on the emblem, and then playlist. And you got to search around a little, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I've already
yeah.
been on,
yeah,
found it.
yeah. So, where do you think we left off?
Let's see.
Economics of the
I don't know.
country.
I think we were talking about what makes an alcoholic or addict, whether you're born or
Right.
what part nature and nurture
Right,
and all that kind of
right.
stuff. And I swear, I believe that the biggest part of it is baggage we arrive at this planet, at this incarnation, or whatever, stuff that we arrive here all set to go,
Yeah, yeah. And I believe that, but I in an AA meeting, if you, Danny and I have a friend, he's passed away now, and his name was Roland G. from Gardner, Massachusetts. And we could be having this conversation about the past life experience, and Roland would say, I don't, he would say it in bolder terms, doesn't make any difference why we got here as alcoholics, we are. And he was very, very basic, which Danny and I got to know a lot of, the early drunks, because like Roland, he learned from the other ones, so it goes back, to the beginning. Susan told me that her grandfather was an alcoholic, and he came to live with his daughter, which is Susan's mother. So he stopped drinking. You have to travel long distances, and this is back, all right? But there would be people coming up to the house, other drunks, and they would sit and have coffee, so that's part of it. But it's so different now, the availability of meetings, AA, NA, and I mean, you can plop out of your house and just about hit an AA meeting.
And I think it's also parallels the availability of drugs and alcohol now. You
Yeah.
can buy, we used to have to worry about not being able to get anything on Sunday or after
Booze,
11 o'clock
yeah.
or something. And now, I think they come to your house and drink it for you, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Sunday
Yeah.
up over the line in New Hampshire, sweating it out. Of course, we wouldn't have any from the night before. That's unheard of. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good old
you can never
days.
buy enough. You're always going one short.
Yeah, right. And now it's heroin. And again, I just want to say this is second show, but we're dying, addicts dying at 91 a day due to this disease. And we aren't, as a society, we are not focusing on this. It's probably the most of anybody that, it comes to 33,000 something, 100, something like that. I don't know if there is anything else in society that it would be that number of dying. Breast cancer, what was the other one I was going to say? Car accidents, war, and
Yeah, the statistics are amazing. And I myself never opiates weren't around that much in my
Right.
sphere at that time, but somebody in my family, I was helping one of their kids, bringing one of their kids to meetings, and went to their house to pick her up, and to go to a meeting, and she didn't come downstairs, and you know, everybody started to wonder, well, you know, what's taking her so long? And come to find out, you know, we went upstairs and we found her on the bathroom floor turning blue with a needle in
Right.
her arm. That's, you know, the first time I ever saw that. And it was like, whoa, okay. I don't know. It's, yeah, it's an outrageous problem. And, but also, you know, I think, you know, we were talking about karma and all this kind of spiritual space shot stuff, but I think that the experience of recovery, you know, from addiction or from alcohol, is a you know, it's a painful rebirth, and it's a death and resurrection. You know, one of the oldest
Yes.
myths in the world.
There's a quote that I heard, where in the let's say job of resurrecting the dead. The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
No, The Walking Dead. Go ahead.
And I think well, it's just my personal belief, but I think that everyone at some point in his journey has to be crucified. You know, powerless, open, you know, sensitive to everything, all the experience and all
You
the
think
feelings.
that's with everybody or just us?
No, I think, well, you know, again, it's my philosophy or whatever, but yeah, I think we're all on spiritual journeys, everyone who's born, you know.
Yeah.
And at some point, somewhere along the line, we have to go through the experience of, you know, the ultimate experience of being sensitive, you know, like a raw nerve, but not able to use any of the old tools we used to use to, you know, to make it. And so recovery, yeah, that's such a fabulous, you know, the term recovery. Now, I don't know about, I've never been dope sick, and it's just my belief that once you get the drug of choice, or alcohol, whatever, once you get it out of your system, and once you get detoxed, and you know, it's a different process for opiates and alcohol, but you know, but once you get detoxed, I think the recovery is the same principle, you know, for all addictions. I might be wrong. I've never been wrong before.
That's
but
true.
I might be wrong.
That's true, and I appreciate that. And that brought to mind another thing. Well, it's in the what's the prayer? Serenity prayer. God grant me a serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know when to back off, when, you know, and there's so much wisdom in recovery. People sober 40
Yeah,
years.
Joe the plumber and Susie the baker or something, suddenly you know, when they get into the, I don't know, it's not a social milieu or anything. When they get into sharing their recovery and participating in AA and stuff, all of a sudden, you know, wow, this guy's a Zen master. You know, who knew, you know?
Right.
And, you know, everybody talks about, Joe the plumber or
Right.
Susie the baker from such and such a town, and everyone goes, yeah. You know, and
Right.
just some
Right.
wonderful, wonderful wisdom.
And I was talking about it yesterday with Peter. Did Peter leave? Witnessing the miracle that happens if watching somebody come in and we've watched 1,000,000 people come in, and some make it. The odds, I don't know what the odds are, but for an addict to come in and coming out of a spin dry, 3 to 7 days, and then out the door, I do know that person's chances are zero. He's not going to make it. For the addicts, just to get their brain chemistry right, and Gabor talks about that, just to get your chemistry right with the depletion of serotonin, it's a year. And that's why you see, in my opinion, addicts coming in, and they ain't laughing. There's nothing to laugh about. And we hear it again and again and again. But those success rates in this show, to understand where they come in, what was their life like, and where they are now, the hope that can bring with watching whoever, you. Yeah. I don't.
This
yeah.
guy over here.
Yeah, we'll have little breaks of levity.
That's why I say I believe that the recovery is the same. Once the detox process, maybe I don't know what it takes for heroin addict or whatever, to maybe a year or something for his mechanism, his makeup or whatever. And it would be different for an alcoholic, or it's different for each individual. But once it all becomes mental, spiritual, once the physical is it's all out of your system. And it's definitely a spiritual thing in my belief. You hear that over and over again. But
well, I don't think there's any way to avoid getting better in recovery. Of course, there's some that, they're off on their own little trip. But I mean, if we're coming to meetings and we're paying attention, there's no way you're going to avoid it. And I've watched them, Donnie Raymond, he only got to some point, but he was sober and he was helping other people. They called him Grouchy Don, though. That was his nickname.
Yeah.
Sorry, Don. He's passed away now. Yeah. Yeah. I know we're running.
Passing away, dying sober, that's
Yeah.
the thing, to keep it together and, to me, embrace the life experience. And, now I'm 70, I guess. And,
Yes.
I don't know. But being, embracing the life experience, which is something I'm still working on, and then to be ready in a natural way to accept your death when, once you run your course. And
you follow Buddhism, and you have for quite a while. Yeah, and that would help with the accepting death. In fact, no, I'm not going to go there. But yes, I will. Just as a little funny, some of the Tibetan monks, when that person dies in that monastery, they take them up on the hill and they chop them up, the parts, and they throw them to the vultures, and that's true. That's death. You watch that, and they stay up there.
What I always say, coming up through the '60s, I interviewed a lot of higher powers, and some of them I even visited their heavens. So the beautiful thing to me about coming into AA was I didn't, it wasn't dictated to me what I'm going to believe in, or, there were certain hard and fast things. Don't drink and you won't get drunk. Go to meetings and share your experience with other people. But there wasn't any hard and fast thing. So all the mishmash of theories and experiences and whatever
Right.
that were in my package, I was free to. But getting sober gave me the opportunity to learn to live simply and sort these things out for the first time in my life, and to develop a relationship with life or with a higher power, or, where I was going to participate and feel comfortable, but they didn't dictate anything to me. And the thing that I love about alcoholics and addicts is they're all the most radical, cantankerous, whatever, independent thinkers. And a lot of us didn't draw any lines when we were out there on what experiences we were
Right.
going to have. Hey, so how can we turn our nose up at ideas that are presented to us
Right,
now?
right. For me, it was coming back from Vietnam, walking out of there, and understanding when I got home, how did I walk out of there? What makes it tick? And that took me on a journey until right now at 70, from 21 to 71. It's been layers for me, and I have bounced around with different, Hinduism, but and thanks to sobriety, I am able to just keep going, because I wouldn't be. I wouldn't have went anywhere except maybe jail or the coffin. I would.
And that's the other great thing with recovery, sobriety. You can do anything, So
Right.
it's totally wild, As long as you don't hurt yourself or hurt anybody else, and as long as you stay clean and sober, you're free to, be a I don't know what, to be a botanist in Cambodia, or be a ordinary citizen, or a family person, or a creative dynamo.
And we have seen all kinds come in. When I got sober up at Knockeg, the guy next to me was a Catholic priest, and I heard about this other guy, and he is a whatever the term, brain surgeon, right? That'd be a little tricky for me, shaking.
Yeah, you got to have a steady hand, I think, for that.
Yeah. We
You
just-
can get away with driving cab, but not dissecting the human brain. Huh?
Yeah, Danny and I both drove cab in Gardner, Massachusetts, and that was sometimes, and I was just smoking marijuana, but you were
that time,
drinking, and Danny and I I was up there for a year at Danny's sister's place in Tom DeBono, up in Hubbardston, and that was something. And as much of a drunk as you were, listen, when I didn't have any marijuana, and I had won a bottle of Seagrams at some event, and I started
Polish
drinking.
American Club, I think.
Yeah. You came up and you told me one day, because I was laughing about this whole thing. And he said, if you're going to drink like this, why don't you go down to the Bowery? And that set me back, and it certainly would have been there. Yeah. It's just been everything for me. But going back,
Excuse me.
Life on life's terms, getting sober, and having to face your past, just all the damage you did. That's why.
The external and internal wreckage, the train wreck behind you. Oh
Right.
my God.
Right.
Yeah. And you have to deal with it. But with recovery, not just being dry, not just being away from drugs, but having some recovery and some growth, and getting your inspiration back, getting your energy back, and so then you're able to deal with some of the horrific backgrounds that we trail that we left behind us.
That's why I am one to think that it's long-term. I was 2.25 years behind the walls of AA. Getting sober at Knockeg, 6 months at a halfway house, and then back to Knockeg Hospital, living upstairs and downstairs cooking. But I was insulated. I was completely insulated from the world, and it was pretty good, being with my peers, going out at night to the meetings with Eddie the Hat and the rest of the people. But that's what did it for me, I think. I don't know if I would have made it. I don't know. So,
yeah, and there's a shoehorn to fit every lunatic too in AA. Because the journey's different for each one of us. And plus the other thing is that even if we don't relapse picking up a substance, our thinking or our emotions or our psychology can, go into strange twists and turns. And but sharing the journey with the other people in recovery, everybody, oh, you got the heebie-jeebies? Well, I never had them. I had the holly-gollies and the woobly-gooblies, but this is what I did, and try it.
one guy who's passed, he wasn't eating for a lot of days, a long time, just drinking, and he happened to look out his window, or he thought, and there was a big steer being roasted on. It wasn't really that. There's some, especially back in the old days with the hallucinations, spiders, and the delirium tremors.
When I was first sober, like 4 months or something in AA, and I was listening to some of the old timers talking about having the DTs and all kinds of wild stories, and I'm thinking to myself, geez, maybe I really don't qualify yet for that. Maybe I should just drink just long enough till I get the DTs,
Right.
and then come back, But fortunately, I stuck with it.
It's the insidiousness of how it plays on your mind, and how easy it is, and show after show down here, just like that. Your next step can lead you into the grave. That drink or that drug will, and I have no doubt about this, is going to take you for a ride, and we've watched it. And like I said, before I came into AA, that was the case. I thought, 9 months, I can have a drink. And it would start that, and I lost everything. And there's so much damage, with my kids and not being there, which I am now, to this day, if I want to dwell,
That's it. That's why it's beneficial to share your experience, share
Right.
your recovery with others, and sometimes you remember Dennis D, and he sometimes would get off his meds or whatever and
Right.
start to go sideways, and we'd say, Dennis, I think maybe you ought to go get your lithium level checked.
Right.
And
Right.
he listened to us and did it. But yeah, all of us, we need that. We don't have just with our solitary experience or our own view, we don't have the best perspective.
Yeah.
We're all keeping an eye on each
Yeah,
other.
right.
You're
And
getting a little funny,
Right. The old days, building up to a drink when some people your friends, people that know you will look and say, you know, is, you're changing. And there's one girl, Chanel, that we've done 5 episodes with her, and she said, I was building up to this thing for 3 weeks. Unhappy with AA, unhappy with everything, unhappy with the wreckage she has to live with. She has to live with. And you know, some of the, you know, especially women who have lost their children, you know, they had to be taken away. And somebody said, I didn't lose my children, I gave them away. I gave them away. Because it's
I always like the old expression of, or way of stating it, this can be for whatever your substance of choice is, but, you know, when I was first going to the bar, it was $1 for a beer or a quarter for a beer, and, you know, $2 for a mixed drink or something. And now I have to put my mortgage, my driver's license, my marriage license, all that stuff is going to go.
Yeah. It's all going. Throw the keys to the car and the house on the table. And it's so many people, even after listening to our stories, for whatever reason, thinking that they are unique and that they can have that one.
That's the big fallacy, terminal uniqueness.
That's right.
Unique, because each one of us has really seen better days than when we go to our first meeting or whatever. And, you know, feeling like, but that's why they say to identify, don't compare with other speakers and stuff that you hear, you know, because it's easy to say, oh, well, I didn't drink in Leominster. I drank somewhere, you know, my experience was completely different. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. But when we, you know, open up and share our experiences, we realize the window dressings or the situation or whatever was different, but, you know, it's the same. It's the human experience, you know, and the divine experience, or the divine in the human, whatever. And
that's heavy.
Yeah, I know.
You're heavy.
I read it off a bubblegum wrapper this morning. So.
Yeah, Danny's very well read. Of course, in fact, you wanted to become have a used book.
Is what I wanted.
You did that. You succeeded. But have
an
a
antiquarian
bookstore.
book dealer. Yeah.
And you're retired now.
Yeah.
I'm retired. Yeah.
I wanted to retire ever since I was in the 2nd grade.
Me too.
You know, retirement.
Yeah.
But
2. We got 2 minutes. Been a pleasure, my man. I want to get you back on because I've been at the most ease talking with you, and you can fill in some of the blanks when I come to a stop. So
yeah, we know each other pretty well, and ending each other's sentences, or that type of thing.
Yeah.
But it was all your fault. I wasn't bad. You were, and you tied me up, held me down, and poured all that stuff down my throat.
Like a terrorist.
I didn't have a choice.
Like waterboarding, only with alcohol.
With alcohol. Ooh.
All right, we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks a lot, Danny. Thanks to LATV. And that's it. Another one, show 31. I couldn't be happier.